now turn up.
This is a Jerry Jeudy signed jersey. Welcome to the channel. This is Dynasty Football Dads. We're giving that away when we hit 1K, which we're already over 500, so we're cruising along. All right, the big question is Kyle Pitts. Where do we draft him? And not only Kyle Pitts, but Kyle Pitts, where do we draft him compared to the wide receivers? Because ultimately, his stock, 4.4440, I mean, he is just rising up the boards. And ultimately, we do have to put caution to the wind because there is multiple reasons not to draft him over the top wide receivers, and there's multiple reasons to draft him over the top wide receivers. So we have to kind of go into the pros and cons. So let's start off the bat of why we would draft him over the other wide receivers. One is tight end is a very limited position. Again, you only get one, and this is not tight end premium, but in tight end premium, again, it depends on how tight end premium. People have 1.5 PPR and 2-point PPR. There's a big difference there, but we're just going to say this is going to be a 1-point PPR standard across. Reason to draft him reason two, he's a very limited position. Number two, he's a generational talent. Number three, he has every single checklist that you want in a tight end. Number four, he's super young. So, I mean, we're talking like a 20-year-old tight end. Like, he could be the next great thing in the next 10 years. So those are easy things to be like, well, why to draft him over the reasons. But the list of why not to is still substantial. And the number one reason is, tight ends don't produce early in their career. And even when people go, oh, well, there's this tight end and this tight end. Yeah, there's still tight end like 7, 9, 11. Like, I did a list of tight ends that get drafted in the top, finish in the top, 15, and it's a super small list, and it's like Jeremy Shockey and like Rob Gronkowski and just other few limited tight ends. So reason number one, tight ends don't produce right away. Number two, it's a hard position to translate into the NFL to produce right away. So that's kind of just a small kind of point, maybe 1 point B reason. Number two for why not to draft him is ultimately we've seen a profile close to his in Evan Ingram. I think that's the closest thing that he is to that. There's still that bust potential. He is not a guaranteed thing. When people are saying he is a guaranteed thing, he is the next Travis Kelce, he's the next Darren, kind of Darren Waller type, but just younger. And that's what I compare him to, is kind of like Darren Waller. But Evan Ingram still ran a super fast 40. We've seen these super athletic, great tight ends not do well in the NFL. And he could be put in a situation that maybe is just not ideal for him. Ultimately, when you look at that compared to the wide receivers in this class, these wide receivers are elite. So you are passing up potentially the next CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, for a tight end that might take time. And so my biggest key with Kyle Pitts is going to be, I'm going to wait to not draft him over these wide receivers. Even Rashad Bateman, if he goes somewhere good, I'm going to wait after that. So he's going to be my, you could say like wide receiver 4, but basically positional 4 in that position. That's why he is into that 7-8 range for me, because my biggest goal is going to be to see how he produces right away. If he produces right away, there's going to be no chance for me to buy him, and that's going to be fine. I mean, ultimately, I'm okay with losing out on that. But if he doesn't produce right away, then that is going to be where I'm going to start trying to buy him with 2022 picks, 2023, or combining picks to get Kyle Pitts, because I know that teams might start going like, oh my goodness, he's only getting 3 catches for 30 yards. Now, even somebody that I really truly love as Irv Smith Jr., I was a big fan. I was like, oh my goodness, we're going to utilize him a ton, and it was slow burn. Mike Gesicki, one of my favorite tight ends ever. And I mean, that's saying something. His spark score and his athleticism was crazy. I was like, how can this guy bust? He can't bust. And he really hasn't produced. I mean, again, yeah, his quarterback situation has been bad, but I mean, we're ultimately looking at it and going, wow, he has still been struggling, or he still hasn't fit his form. He's not a top 3 tight end. And then there's Dallas Goedert, who just got put into a bad situation with Zach Ertz. So these are all different things that just lead me to say that it's not necessarily a great idea to draft Kyle Pitts. Now we're talking about tight end premium. I think you could say he's right around that leap of just taking him right after those running backs. I still take the running backs first, ultimately, because I know that their safety is going to be better. They're going to have high value here in the beginning, but I know the demand for tight end is going to be probably just as much as the running back. So it's going to be close, but I would put him number 4 just in non-Superflex leagues. But we look at him ahead of those wide receivers, then he just has a little slight edge, especially if wide receivers are 1 point and he's 2 point PPR, then he can take this little jump ahead. Just know that he is a perfect I guess, player for a big rebuild and not a perfect player for a team that is going to compete, because he may not have that initial first year success that people are saying. He may have 500 yards and 4 touchdowns or 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. And then all of a sudden we see a year 2 jump. Maybe he has 700 yards and 5 touchdowns. And then year 3, then he has 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. Like, that could be his kind of progression. And we see this with TJ Hawkinson and how good he's been doing. I think TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant, those two are amazingly recruited tight ends, and they just have not performed yet. TJ Hawkinson's getting there. Noah Fant is not as much. So again, these are things that we have to look. So that's, again, just debating on, do you want Kyle Pitts or do you want a wide receiver? In my opinion, I'm taking the wide receiver or over the tight end, the top at least 3. When you're starting to get Jalen Waddle, Rondo, Moore, they're kind of a tier 1 of 5 wide receivers, but I would put Kyle Pitts kind of like right smack dab, right in the middle of it. Again, some people are just goo gagging, and I think I could see Kyle Pitts going like 3rd or 4th. I really do, and that's where some of these wide receivers and stuff are going to drop. Which is going to be awesome for, again, Dynasty owners that are looking at wide receiver and going, oh my goodness, I'm going to get Devonta Smith at 7. And I didn't think I was going to get him at 7. My number 1 wide receiver, I'm like, this is exactly what happened almost to CeeDee Lamb, just kind of a tier tangent. 5 running backs, at least in my draft, went 1 through 5. It went 1 through 5. It was like Jonathan Taylor, and then the other way switched, and then it was J.K. Dobbins and Swift, and those 2 were switched in another couple drafts, and then it was like Cam Akers was like 5 and in some drafts, and then it was CeeDee Lamb 6, and then it was Judy, and then it was the run. It was like CeeDee, Judy, Jefferson, Ruggs. Like, it was just a run of 4 wide receivers. But again, you're getting like a Justin Jefferson at pick 6, 7, 8, and you're getting Lamb at 6. Like, you might get Chase at 6. You might get Devonta Smith at like 7, 8. You might even get like Rondo Moore at like 12. Like, again, a guy that is crazy at 4.29, 42.5-inch vertical. Like, it's going to be a fun draft. I'm really excited for draft season. So, again, this is Marcus with Dynasty Football Dads. We're reading daily Dynasty videos. Jerry Judy free jersey, 1K. All right, peace out.
Now turn up.